Good morning. Welcome to the Putnam County Board of County Commission meeting Tuesday, July 11th. We're going to ask Commissioner Lible to do the prayer this morning and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Goddard. Would you all please stand?
Would bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we ask you to guide all government bodies in this great nation. We ask that all our deliberations and individual decisions be right and just. We ask this in your name. Amen.
If you'll join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner Lible. Commissioner Goddard. Our next item on our agenda, recognizing Karen Adams, sanitation employee of the quarter. Mr. Gass, if you'll come up, please.
Larry, do you want me to read this, or do you want to read it?
Don't be scared. Come on up. Bring everybody you want up.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. Karen Adams is a staff assistant 2 with sanitation. She started with the county in 2004 as a customer service representative at the tax collector's office. In 2005, she transferred to sanitation as staff assistant 2. Congratulations to Karen for being selected employee of the quarter.
Yay.
I'd like to say a few things about Karen. She is one of the best customer service oriented people that you come across. You have somebody who is so mad and angry and full of distrust and hate towards something that has gone on, and they get her sweet voice on the phone and they fuss and holler and scream, and she maintains that pleasant, wonderful attitude. That's the kind of person that you have to have on the phones, and she does a wonderful job for us de-escalating issues with citizens in the county. And I don't know what we would do without her, because she is that link in customer service that does the job for us.
What's her extension? We can start.
911.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
Going up for pictures?
Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you.
Larry, you get right here by you. How are you? You want to come in here? Here, you come over to this side.
Okay,
All right, tighten up, guys.
smile, eyes forward.
Look at one camera, not.
Chip, move in. There you go. Big smiles.
Thank you. All right. Again, congratulations.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Commissioner.
I noticed on the agenda today, and we have time to recover, but our minutes are missing from our last board meeting. Can we bring those back at 5 o'clock and, or get them earlier for review? Or-
She's waiting on me to review them.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner.
I have a stack of them that I haven't reviewed yet.
All right,
Okay,
let's,
that's all good.
We can put them on the 5:05 meeting today?
As long as I stay here all day, no dizzy spells so far.
Okay,
Well, it's also our job to review them,
Yeah.
and that's why I noticed they were missing. I know.
thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, we'll do the minutes this evening then at the meeting at 5:05. Public comment. Mr. Jim Bush with FP&L, come on down. This is a time that we want to hear from the public. You don't have to fill out a blue card, but we encourage you to do so. Blue cards are in the back of the room. And if you'll bring them to Tony. If you don't fill out a blue card, you have 3 minutes to speak and no personal attacks, and we will listen to you, but we will not be able to take any type of action today based on the fact that we didn't know what you were going to talk about prior to being here. Mr. Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I just wanted to provide you a brief update on our 2 solar projects in West Putnam. Again, Jim Bush, I'm the manager at FPL, 303 Hastings Road in St. Augustine. Just want to provide you a quick update on our 2 projects. First, as you know, we have the Horizon project, which is south of Melrose, straddles the Putnam-Alachua border, and then the Coral Farms project, what you call it, is in the town of Florahome. Making progress on both sites. Horizon's a bit ahead of the Coral Farms project. Our plan was to cascade resources, from one, as we phase the project from one project to the next. Right now at the Horizon project, we have 75% of our piles in the ground and about 25% of the panels. That we have had, as you know, record rain over the month of June, and that's impeded our construction a bit, but we're still on target to have both projects in service by the end of the year this year. Good news on the labor front. I know you've asked before. We're entering peak construction. We're still ramping up the resources, but the count that I have as of about 2 weeks ago, we currently have 183 employees at our Horizon site. 169 are from the region, and about 60 are local to Putnam County.
Good deal. Yes, I agree. We all.
Thank you. We are planning commissioning ceremonies for December 11th. It's going to be a combined commissioning ceremony. Obviously, we'll invite all the commissioners to that. But if any of you want an inside tour of either project before then, I'd be glad to personally take you out there and show you what's going on. Great things are going on both sites. So thank you for that, and also just thank the county and the commissioners for all the support they've provided to
Well, we
us.
thank you for what you and your company is doing for Putnam County, and we greatly appreciate that. Commissioners, I would say avail yourself of Mr. Bush's offer. Go out and view them. I will take you up on that. So,
Great.
yeah, we look
Thank you.
forward to
Thank
it.
you,
Thank you
Commissioners.
very much, sir. Thank you. Mr. Sparkman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Merle Sparkman, 103 of Flamingo, Interlochen. I understand we're going to have our taxes kind of boosted up on us a little bit. And I'm going to ask the question, for the taxes we already paid, I don't feel we're getting quite the bang for our buck. 315 looks like it's never seen a lawnmower. And there's places in 315 that the cracks need to have something done to them. And just to clean up the place a little bit, you know. It never used to look like that when we first moved here. In fact, the matter, it was so good, we had garbage delivery twice a week, if any of you remember it. And things are going down and down and down. And I understand that things are coming up and up and up, and you got to pay for them. But all I'm asking for is, can you be a little bit more lucrative with our money, and kind of give us a little more service for what we're paying for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sparkman. We hear you loud and clear, sir. Mrs. Sparkman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have some questions about the insurance fees. All of us, and there's quite a few of us, talk. We have had Bates and Hewitt up to here. There's other insurance companies in this county. You can call Allstate, you can call State Farm, you can call Mervyn's and get bids from them. You can call the state, they'll tell you to get bids from. And guess what? If you raise their insurance fees to $800 a month, and we lose any more deputies or employees, the sheriff holds the ace in his hand. Because if that happens, all he has to do is make 2 phone calls and you all will pay. I'm tired of hearing Bates and Hewitt We need to look with somebody else. So it tells me that maybe somebody's getting a kickback, because that's all I've heard. And so now I have one request.
Paul,
I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, we're not gonna have this.
I have a request. We need to ask your human resource officer to resign, and that comes from most of us.
All right, we're not.
Thank you.
All right, let me set the record really clear, real fast, and I
Thank you.
don't want to enter debate. Those companies bid on our health insurance. Florida Blue did. Florida Blue hired Bates and Hewitt as our local provider to help us. That was their decision to do that. And this board has extensively, along with the other committee, poured over our insurance to get this right. We're not raising our employees' rates. We dug into the budget more to help our employees out. So we really have done a great job this year, and I commend the board and the staff and the committee for that. So we will get back with you, okay?
Okay, that's fine, but when you call all the other counties around us, you'll find out sometimes Florida Blues are not the best. The county I retired from has Blue Cross and Blue Shield, pays for everything. And the other counties, if they have to pay $400 a month, they match it for those employees. And that needs to happen in this county. And we can go back to the year 2002 up till November 2016 and blame everybody who sit in those seats. And if you watch very carefully, 2 of those seats, we the people replaced. And we're going to fix on doing it again in November 2018. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barton. Mr. Milstead, Gary Milstead? Mr. Milstead, your item is an agenda item. Would you like to wait until we get?
Something else.
I'm sorry, sir?
This is a different item. I want to talk about.
Okay, I'm sorry. I did not read it correctly. I do apologize.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
I'm curious, you know.
You can pull that microphone up to you if you'd like.
I'm curious, before the hurricane, you know, we had a lot of docks and a lot of boathouses on the river that were basically being maintained and in good shape. I know for a fact that one of my neighbor's boathouses kind of got a little deteriorated, and someone, and it wasn't me, complained to the zoning commission or the zoning board that it was in disrepair, and sure enough, they apparently forced him to go ahead and fix it. Now, since the hurricane, unfortunately, everybody's been hit hard, and a lot of these docks have been completely washed away. A lot of them are damaged severely. What is the homeowner's responsibility as far as hazards to navigation or dilapidated structures still out in the river? Is there going to be any enforcement, or is it just a case of just if people can afford it, they fix it, and if they can't, it just gets abandoned? I would like to know where y'all stand on that.
Commissioner Lible, you're in the maritime.
I can tell you there is a backlog. If you're in the dock building business, you've got business for a long time. And that's pretty much the root of the problem that you're experiencing. Other than that, there's no enforcement to force a homeowner to rebuild a dock, but at some point they'll have to remove the pilings and that sort of thing. But I'd say practice patience right now and just give it probably up to a year or two before you're going to see those
Well,
docks
thank you
back.
for your response.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that is the end of our blue cards. If there's any other person in the audience wishing to speak, make your way to the podium, please, and give us your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Roxana Regan Weeks, Palaca, Florida. I sent all the commissioners, the clerk, Ms. Weaver, and Gator Deloge, and also Allison Waters Merritt of the Palaca Daily News, 2 emails yesterday. The first was in mid-May, I had made a public records request to the medical examiner's office in St. Johns County for the drug-related deaths in Putnam County for 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, and current until mid-May of 17. They sent me back that file. I asked them to provide information of all the drugs involved, whether there was a prescription or if it was an illicit use, accident, suicide, you know, the stats on it. And I sent you all those files. I also sent a second attachment, which was a copy of an article in Saturday's Palaca Daily News about the deputies getting Narcan for the use of opioid overdoses. Opioids include morphine, methadone, hydrocodone, oxycodone, heroin, fentanyl, drugs of that class. In the paper, in the article, Ms. Waters-Merritt writes that Gator Deloach said there were only 2 deaths in 2016 attributed to opioids. If you look at the file from the medical examiner's office, you'll see that there were actually 3 times that number of opioid deaths in 2016. There were several other deaths that are related to other types of overdoses, such as that are non-opioids, such as cocaine, methamphetamine, things of that nature. The deputies getting the Narcan to carry is a great thing. We have a drug problem in Putnam County. That goes without saying. When you look at those files and see the number of deaths per year, the governor has, I guess you would say, granted $27 million in the next 2 years per year to address this opioid problem throughout Florida. And I hope you will take this information and see that Putnam County gets its fair share to address the issues here of that. The second thing I wanted to address is in this morning's newspaper, on the front page is the article about Deloach and PCSO created a new position, a natural resources officer, which is to deal with wildlife and domestic animal issues. I'd like to commend them for that. I hope they will address the issues, particularly of not just abuse and cruelty and neglect in Putnam County of animals, but also of dog fighters. Donnie Jordan is the detective that has been trained and assigned to this. Sheriff's Department has my contact information, and since the December 16 dogfight issue, I've had numerous citizens. I blew it up on social media about that. And let me just say, I can just give you a couple of, for instances, the people that were here in Putnam County that night at that fight in December of 16, one of them was a federal fugitive. The other, 6 weeks after he left here, he went back to South Florida and committed a sexual assault on a minor. They're a bad group of people. It may not be good for your public image to have it known that dog fighters are in this county, but they are. And in the last year and a half, I've had a lot of neighbors, concerned citizens contact me. I have a lot of information I've gathered in that time for these locations of where dog fighting and cockfighting is occurring in this county. And I just hope that somebody will send Detective Jordan in my direction so I can share all of that with him.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
We appreciate your comment. Is there anybody else wishing to speak before the board? All right, hearing none, we're going to close our public comment part. Commissioners, you have a consent agenda before you, minus any minutes, so we'll deal with that at 5:05 today. Items A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Is there any items you wish to pull?
I'd like to just discuss G.
Okay.
We got some representatives.
All right. And other commissioners, any items?
I'd like to pull D.
Okay, Commissioner Pickens would like to pull D. And Commissioner Goddard.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go in alphabetical order. Mr. Pickens, you have the floor on item D, sir, pages 15 through 39.
Yeah, I'd just like this press could come up and just kind of explain about the bid process with the 2 businesses to perform the grading and whatever jobs that they'll do for the MSBU's, and then how they are funded.
Okay. Press Tompkins, Public Works Director.
Good morning, sir.
It was quite a arduous task to analyze the MSBU quotes. It's been a while since they went out to bid. I think we had 11 MSBU's we bid, and we did bid them individually. What we did was we set up different categories. We set up the major category, the routine category, which is the routine grading, adding material, things of that nature. And then we did have a request from some of the committee members to include boom mowing. but that was only scheduled to be twice a year. So we weighed everything on a way to how much it was going to be done and the cost of it. And what we did, we analyzed the bids on the basic routine maintenance capabilities that we would do every day or every monthly on the MSBU's. And going through that process, it was determined that Mr. Buckles and Tuttle were the low bids. They pretty much held their prices from before. I think they even went down a little bit, but that was how we came up with it. And we, after done the analysis, and I met with Melissa Dillon, our purchasing agent, we went over them in length, and that's why our recommendation is go ahead and continue with Buckles and Tuttle to do our MSBU roads. Now, they are solely funded by the non-ad valorem tax that the county collects on an assessment of each MSBU, and each one stands on its own. And what these are unit price contracts. They have a price to do grading on a per mile basis. They bring material in on a per load basis, and all this is approved prior to them doing the work by the committee member or MSBU coordinator. And basically the services match the monies that they have. If they only have enough grading to do once every 2 months, then we do grade once every 2 months. So we match the money that they bring in, the MSBU, to the services they're able to afford. So that's how we analyze it, and that's how they're funded.
And these are both local companies, right?
Sir, yes, sir, they're both local I think Mr. Tuttle actually lives in one of the MSBU's, but yeah, they've been around for a good while. They do us a good job. They really know how to keep the roads out there pretty passable and all. And I will say this, the rains we've been having is killing all of us right now. We're doing everything we can do with these roads right now, and we just cannot get ahead of Mother Nature right now. So,
Not when you had the rain we had in West Putnam last night. I don't know what happened in Placa, but boy,
Same
did
thing.
It hammered us.
Same thing.
2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
I hope that answers
Yeah,
your question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Thank you, Mr. Tom.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your explanation. Commissioner Lible, item G, Bartman Trail
Mr.
Committee.
Chairman, if I could, I'm going to ask our former tax collector, Ms. Ken Mahaffey, is with us, and his wife Janice. I don't know if you want to join Ken at the podium, but the Bartram Heritage Highway is near and dear to this whole community, and it's been being rigorously developed for the last 5 years. And tell us about it.
As you know, we've worked, Ken Mahaffey, East Palaca, Florida. But we've worked really hard to look at what could bring ecotourism into our county. And seeing of course, the biggest jewel we have is our river out there. And knowing that the history behind it, after reading the travels that was published back in 1791, discussed a lot about Putnam County. I mean, very detailed information about Putnam County in 1791. That's a long time ago. We have slowly put together a water trail, which is called the Bartram Trail, which has become a national recreation trail by the federal government, which is just a great reward that none of us were even anticipating. We also developed some biking trails and hiking trails. Well, these are all activity-oriented type of ways to see the sites that Bartram wrote about. Well, we started looking around, we said, well, what else can we develop? The next thing that we figured out was, as you get older, your physical activity wanes a little bit. So you go through a lot of communities and you see all these highways that are designated as specific type of highways. Well, we decided it was time to give some of us older people an easier way to go from one place to another, besides getting on our bicycle or getting on our boots and walking. So we decided we would like to develop the Bartram Heritage Highway system in Putnam County. With that, we are being able to take people driving to a lot of these sites that they normally would not know about. And it's another way maybe to keep people in our community for another day, to enjoy what we think is probably the most beautiful natural county in the state of Florida. So we're working with Florida Department of Transportation with Deb Miller out of Lake City. And we had to get these letters of support and resolutions so we could go to our next step, which would be the letter of intent. And this is about a 5-year process. So we're 5 years from probably getting to the end of it, but this is the beginning, and it's a very important first step. Thank you.
Yeah, and there are other heritage highways, the A1A is a heritage highway, and then as we come inland, this one outdates all of them. And-
Right.
And a lot of people know and they don't know, but there are two Bartrams. It actually dates back to 1765.
Right.
And the son, I guess, was the latter date you were
Right.
talking about.
William.
William Bartram.
He came back in 1774
Yeah.
and
As
spent
an-
quite a bit of time in Putnam County that time.
He did. And in Putnam County, we have the mother lode of Bartram sites, and a lot of the signs are already by the highways. You can actually, you have somewhat of a trail now.
Yes, we do, and we do have some new signs we'll be putting up and all too. But it's really exciting because there on Highway 17 in East Palatka, you got Rollstown. You go out Highway 100, you've got Rice Creek. You've got. We hope to get some signs up out at Cowpen Lake, which was a very important place where Bartram drew all of his fish. So there's just all over our county, Crescent City, I mean, to Georgetown, to
Stokes
to
Landing.
Bostwick, to, I mean, he knew Putnam County better than anybody else. So
Yeah.
it's really
This-
very interesting to sit down and read the book when I first moved here.
This is very exciting, and we're on the cutting edge, and I just want to thank you and your wife. I know y'all travel to Europe and make these connections, and some of the people from England come here to Putnam County to find out what we're doing.
Exactly. Well,
been-
they didn't realize that we knew who William Bartram was. Well, we have done a pretty good job of educating our public here about who William Bartram was, and we're started trying to work with the children and all. The St. John's River Center, your little guide, pretend guide going through there is William Bartram. That's taking you around to see the St. John's River Center. So it's just
I'm very proud of our community, and particularly you and Janice. Y'all have done a great job, and we thank you.
And if you don't know, Ken and his wife Janice pick up garbage all the time in East Palatka. You'll see them on the side of the road. They really don't want to do that, so quit throwing the garbage out. They would rather not do that, but we appreciate all your efforts. And you said you're busier now that you retired than you were before that as our property appraiser, so we thank you for that. All right, gentlemen, items A through G.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Lible for items on the consent agenda A through G.
I'll second.
A proper second by Commissioner Goddard. Is there any further discussion on those items? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. We will recess our meeting until 10 o'clock. We have a Public Works 10 o'clock certain. Thank you. Sorry about the long break there, but we have two 10 o'clock certains on our plate. And our first one is public hearing, request board approval and signature on resolution for vacation of Cow Creek Court, page 44 to 47 in your packet. Mr. Tompkins and Mr. Cuneo are at the microphone.
Good afternoon, or good morning, Commissioners. I'm going to go through the PowerPoint. It's the same PowerPoint brief you've seen before. James Cuneo, Putnam County Public Works Engineering Department. June 11th, public hearing for Cow Creek Court Road vacation. Table of contents is what we're going to go over this morning. Demographics, history, maps, maintenance map, pictures and video. The video is not on here. The pictures are. The resolution that we currently have on it, the tax map, and a recommendation from Public Works. Currently, the demographics of the road, it's a 1/10 mile road. There's 6 residents that are serviced by this road. The road material starts out as pavement, which was installed by residents a few years back, and then it continues on with the shell rock down to the cul-de-sac. The current roadbed width is anywhere between 10 and 8 feet. The actual right-of-way width is 30 feet. It's an actual easement. So this request is coming from Public Works. Currently, to date, the estimated cost of maintenance that we've done is just over $16,000, and our initial recommendation is to vacate the road. Some of the history, we're requesting to vacate the road in the resolution 93-08. The county does own the easement / right-of-way by state statute. There was no maintenance map that was ever filed on this road. Residents have been disputing on this road for years, and every time that Public Works goes down the road, it becomes an issue to conduct appropriate maintenance on that road. So our request is to vacate the road, send residents letters of vacation, requested needed right-of-way if they want it maintained in the future. Here's our current map of Cow Creek Court, right off of our GIS system. This is over off the East River Road area, Palmport. Here's another GIS map showing the road coming down, or the easement coming down, I should say. And it's about half paved in shell rock. There's some of the maintenance that we've done over the years, and significantly there's gaps between 2013 and to date. We've only actually been out there a couple times to do maintenance on the road. So there are large gaps within maintenance that we've done. And again, we're a little over $16,000 for maintenance that we've done to date. Here's some pictures of Cow Creek Court, and this is where we kind of get into the damages, I'll say damage, but the things that are put in the roadway. You can see in this picture that that's my tape measure going across the road. The width of a grader blade is 14 feet, and that's the length of that tape measure going across the road, so you can see we can't adequately maintain the road grading it. Additionally, there are items that are in the road, as you can see on the side there. Here's another picture showing a little close-up that the width of that road bed is about 9 foot 10 inches, and again, a grader blade is 14 feet wide. Again, the tape measure a little bit further down the road with a picture of my truck, so it shows you the width of the road that we have to deal with for maintenance. And going back, noticing the debris in the pictures. Here's some video cameras that are right there around where it comes off pavement, goes into shell rock by the residents. And this is every time they see a county vehicle that come in here to conduct maintenance. They automatically start putting items out into the road. Some other photos. In the photo to the right here, you'll see where they actually have curb blocks now that are running the whole length of the road with flowers growing up on either side of them. This is the current resolution that we're under the maintenance, Class 1 maintained road, and that was done back in '93. And we cannot currently maintain the road properly because the road's being blocked by items. Here's the tax map. Now, this tax map actually shows you that this road is actually an easement and not an actual road that was platted when this subdivision was created. And all the parcel numbers there to the left are the parcel numbers of the 6 residents in that area. So our recommendation from the county attorney and Public Works when Mr. Tompkins had a conversation with him is to vacate the road and rescind the resolution. And there's a date of that meeting was held. We do have prior 7 years of maintenance on the road prior to the broken up times that we weren't maintaining it. So we actually own the road by prescriptive rights only. So our best course of action is to vacate the road. So for Public Works, we would like to request to vacate the road maintenance, and if a residents would like it maintained, require deeded right-of-way once it's vacated.
Thank you, Mr. Cunha. Now, this is before us today because, gentlemen, if you remember, we voted on this the last time, but we didn't do a public hearing. So now we're back before the public to do the public hearing. So we basically null and void what we did at the last meeting, at the end of the meeting, to start over on this issue.
And that was our responsibility. We had put it down as a consent item, and it should have been a public hearing before, and I apologize for that being done. I do have some clarification. I had a long conversation with Stacy Manning about it, and what the statute basically says is since we have done continuing maintenance for a period of time, that we do have an ownership interest in the road. This was an easement. I did the title. I went through all the deeds on it. It is an easement to the homeowners. It was never dedicated to the county or never given to the county at all. That easement is strictly to the homeowners for roadway and utility purposes. I went through all the deeds. And clarification on our maintenance. We did one pothole patch in 8, 10, 11, and 15. We graded the dirt portion one time in 13, We did one washout repair in 15, and we did a driveway repair in 14, one. So that's our maintenance that we've done out there. And it is just not economically feasible for me to try to send a motor grader to grade 200 to 300 feet of road at the end of a cul-de-sac, basically, when we can't even get in there to do it. And you can see by the maintenance records, we haven't needed to be in there. It's a residential road. It serves the residents only. And that's why we've asked them for it to be vacated and taken off our maintenance list so we can devote our resources where they're desperately needed.
Mr. Tompkins, I have a question, though, concerning the maintenance map versus this resolution that Mr. Dersher signed as chairman. Clearly, to me, the resolution it states that the road was taken into the county maintenance system.
That is correct. The commission has the right, the ability to take a road into the county maintenance system, and which was done in 93.
Right.
Okay. After that period, we did maintain it for that period of time. Then the residents got together and they paved 2/3 of the road. I think on the last 200 or 300 feet, the last 3 residents wouldn't participate in it.
Okay.
So that was not paved. Since it's been paved, we haven't had any maintenance out there. And like I said, it was an easement. It never was, we never established real ownership of that easement. That was one of the things that we look at. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do now is clean up our maintenance map of what we've taken in maintenance map and make sure we've done the maintenance map and have those filed and recorded of what we're actually trying to claim ownership on. We're trying to get that cleaned up now. We've been working over that for the last year, trying to get that straightened out throughout the county.
I have one other question here, and then it appears that there's underground utilities down there by some of the pictures that showed.
Yes, sir, there is.
If we were to go back and vacate this road today and then let the citizens know on your paragraph on the summary that they can appeal back to us and give us the proper easements to get back on the road, how I'm reading it.
The utilities will not be affected because that 30-foot easement is for utility and roadway purposes.
But
So
do we have enough?
we do not. We would require our standard 66 feet, and I don't think those residents want to give up 66 feet of roadway for us to take it back into our system.
You know, we talked in our transportation meetings of different road widths based on the county and where that could happen at. Do they all need to be 66, or could some be 40, could some be 50? And you were going to bring that back to us in another workshop in
Right.
future
We have not
months.
finished putting that together. There is some opportunity to go with a lesser right-of-way width, but there again, they would have to deed that right-of-way to the county. And what we're trying to stick with is a minimum of 40 feet, absolute minimum. And, you know, right now we have 30, so we'd have to take, you know, another 10 feet, 5 feet on either side of the road. But we need to look at the drainage and what needs to be done out there, so it could be more than that.
Right.
Like I said, we do not have any ownership. That was an easement that was originally established for the homeowners. It was not given to the county in any fashion.
I do want to go on record that Dr. Ekiak called me. He lives at the end of that cul-de-sac. And he called me to let me know that it was very important for him to be able to still stay in the county maintenance system. And I told him I would bring that up, so.
And I know Mr. Manning's not here, but I think all of us have to disclose if we've had any contact with
Well, actually,
property owner.
there's only one quasi-judicial, and this is not it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to overstep my bounds,
No,
but I want
you're
to make sure we
fine.
get it done right.
Made
each
sure
time.
I covered my bases on that one, so.
Okay.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Tompkins or Mr. Cuneo?
I think the quasi-judicial statement that the council runs by us before every public hearing is very important, that we should disclose that we had contact or not.
It's not a quasi-judicial, but you can sure go ahead and do what I just did, and if you've had contact with anyone, go ahead and reveal it now.
Okay, why is this not quasi-judicial?
He said it wasn't. I asked him that yesterday. He said there was only one item, and that's coming up on item 6B.
Okay, well, I think, let's just do it.
Yeah, I think it's safe. That's why I did it.
Doesn't hurt.
I have talked to Mr. Milstead and also Dr. Akiat.
Okay,
Yeah, I spoke with the doctor.
okay,
I spoke with Dr. Akiel also.
all right, good deal.
I do have a question, so I understand this. If we give the road back to them and they come back and they give the easement of 30 feet, can you take it back in?
Not at the 30 feet because we can't maintain that. We'd have to get an additional right-of-way to be able to go in there. We can't grade it at 30 feet.
Could you do it at 40? 'Cause I
We'd
know-
have to look at that and see, and that's something we'd have to do some more studies on and see what we could get by with. We have to see where the utilities are located and what needs to be done to actually grade the road properly. So it could be 40 feet, it could be 45, you know, I can't give you a definite answer right now. But it would have to be actually deeded to the county for us to take it back into the maintenance system.
Okay, and there's 6 residents on this road,
I
correct?
believe that is correct, yes, sir.
Would all 6 have to deed that?
Yes,
Because-
sir. It's either, our policy is it's either all or none, because I can't go across private property to get to public property.
But we wouldn't know, going back to the question I asked him, Commissioner Pickens, based on the underground utilities and the drainage, we wouldn't know how much we need until we really engineered that road to see what we could get by with. And with possibly, with the underground utilities, we might not be able to, might not ever take it back in the system. If it needs more drainage, if it needs, yeah.
That's true, but that to me is a separate process. If we go through the vacation, if they want to come back to us at a later date and petition us to deed right away to us, and we'll go through the formal studies then and see how much right of way is needed. But I think that's a separate process other than what we're doing here today.
Okay. All right, I'm going to open it up for public comments, and we'll come back to more discussion. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of vacating this road? Okay, seeing none. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak against vacating this road? Please come up and state your name. Come on. Come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mohammed Michael Akiat. I live in 115 Cow Creek Court, East Palatka. I am here to ask if you please reconsider vacating the road to my house. I've been resident of Putnam County for over a quarter century. I served this county since then. My team, myself, delivered over 60% of babies born in Putnam County. I gave up very lucrative and very prestigious position at Northwestern University as a professor in medicine to live in Putnam County and raise my kids here. I stayed in Putnam County where all the talent deserted us, and to the point where unable to recruit additional physicians in the county. I'm a first responder. I love this county. I shop this county. My kids went to school in this county. At least one of them is currently completing her education in medicine, and she's hoping to become a rural physician and hopefully practice in Putnam County. Now, as a first responder, I need to go in and out of my house. I'm not able to do that sometimes because there are some holes there that are 20-inch deep. Now, since I've been there, that road required very little maintenance. We are not asking for anything that's super fancy. We don't see, I heard about 40 feet. I don't have any problems with that, but I don't think we need 40 feet wide road. Now, I'm not an engineer, and there's only really 3 people living at the end of that cul-de-sac. Now, with that road being in that kind of condition, and if the maintenance is if that road is no longer maintained, we have concerns about services to get to us. Fire services, EMS, or just services to service our yards and things that, or deliver packages to our houses. Now, since I've been there, and this is about a quarter century, we never had an issue. I mean, there are some potholes there, and it's a very low maintenance road, like I said. Some potholes there, and we would usually call the public services, and they would come and fill up those potholes, and done for another 6, 7, 8, 9 months. The letter, or at least the statements that were said here, is that residents keep putting stuff in that road. We don't put any stuff in the road. And I think the proper thing to do, if that is the obstacle and that's the reason we are changing what has been done, is somebody putting stuff in the road. It's very simple. Just ask the person to stop doing that. I apologize for
No,
this.
you're fine.
Now, I think if we are not, or at least if your honors decide to proceed with vacating, at least if you're not able to support our objection, I would ask at least to reconsider, or at least give us some slack and some time to further investigate what really needs to be done in those roads, what it would take to fix the problem, and talk to the residents and see if they're amenable to the solution before taking a drastic position of just vacating and walk away from the issue. I believe that most, if not all, residents would be willing to work with the Public Works, would be willing to consider any reasonable options that we were given, but just taking us off the grid and treat us as disposable citizens and disposable neighborhood is probably a little bit of an overhit. And I appreciate your support.
Thank you.
And I
Question,
thank you very
okay.
much for giving me some time.
Dr. Akiat?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Lible has a question.
Dr. Akiat, so you made the statement that an engineer's professional opinion would matter to you, and in this case, they've asked for 10 additional feet to get to the 40 feet needed for us to properly maintain, and considering your professional status as far as needing a good road to exit and enter, would you be willing to give us the 10 feet so we could reach the goal that you would like to have?
I have no issues whatsoever.
So you will give,
You
you'll
can
vacate.
take as much, whatever it takes in my property. I'm prepared, and I'm willing to
Okay.
deed or give you anything you want.
Okay,
And
thank you.
I don't have any issues with that. I don't have any problems with that. And I was never asked to do anything. We were just, this thing hit us like, and when I read the letter that was sent to us, it says that due to residents putting objects in the road, the residents don't put anything in that road. That person who is putting things in there just need to be asked to stop doing that. And I would be very happy with the way things used to be. Every 5, 6, 8 months when there is a pothole, just please somebody come in and fill it up, and 2 buckets of whatever it takes to put in there so we can get in and out of the house. We are not asking for anything that's super fancy.
Could Mr. Tompkins, our engineer of Public Works, is consolidating the areas that graders work in our county, and we support him entirely. And what it is, he's trying to pave as much as possible. If we got a geographical area that we only have one road in that needs greater maintenance, it's better for us to go pave that road and not go there anymore, but occasional potholes you just mentioned. And that's his strategy. We're trying to work a strategy
Right.
here. So we need cooperation from your neighborhood to reach that strategy. Our goal is to get more money in our budget by being more efficient. And he is leading the charge there, and he has our support. So we're not picking on the neighborhood, we're trying to reach a goal. And any cooperation would be much appreciated.
Definitely, and I appreciate your comment, and I see exactly what you're saying. As a professional, I also have to design or change things based on situations that I'm facing. And I think one shoe fits all really should not apply in this situation. And I think there is an opportunity for all of us to learn something from here and devise a certain plan that helps the residents of that, not only the residents of those 6 residents, but the county, to beautify the county, because there's some pretty houses in that strip, some of the prettiest houses in Putnam County.
We don't argue that, Dr. Aki. We just need cooperation from all 6. And we're in with you.
I'm on the
We
record
got
for,
it.
I'm on the record for saying that I'm prepared to fully cooperate in any way that would benefit all the 6 residents in that strip.
Very
And
good.
there is a second physician living in that cul-de-sac. She's also a first responder. And we have some expensive cars. We cannot drive through those potholes and I am concerned about having an issue with a fire truck or something cannot get to my house when I need an emergency intervention. I'm concerned when I have to get out at 3 o'clock in the morning with a huge storm and have to negotiate my way through a 2 feet deep pot where I can't get out of my residence. So if you cannot support, or for whatever reason you choose to not reconsider the proposal of Public Works, at least give us some more time. Give them time to talk to the residents. Give us time as residents to reconsider and talk about this and see how we can get out of it. And see how we can devise some plan that's going to fit the project, that's going to be amenable, reasonable to all the residents of that strip.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lible, is that the end of you?
Well, I'd just like to make the point that we have given years of time with no avail. And we need cooperation from your neighborhood because we don't have time. We have to move in this plan that we're working now. So the ball's in your court, so to speak. We really want to be on your team. We want all the things you just mentioned to happen, but it really is your choice.
But Commissioner, those 6 residents are going to stop the entire project?
I believe you'll succeed. I really do.
I mean, if we just have this just portion of this Cow Creek is going to stop the entire Putnam County project from proceeding?
No, sir, that's not what we're doing. We're working a plan, as I explained. I'm asking 6 residents to get along and be part of that plan. Please, sir.
With all due respect, sir, it makes sense what you say. And I think those residents, if they were given a chance to look further into that and reconsider what they're going to lose and what the options are, I'm pretty confident that we can get somewhere.
I think our move will, coupled with your move, we'll all be happy.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Don.
And I'm on the record for saying that whatever is required and whatever I need to do, whatever you want from my property, I will fully cooperate.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Please state your name and
Hi.
address.
Yeah, my name is Chris Hooker. I'm a resident at 114 Cow Creek Court. I'm the newest resident on the block, and my wife and I relocated in November from Alabama. We've lived in Alabama for the last 18 years, and we're glad to be here in Putnam County. She is the first responder doctor was speaking about. She works for Azalea Health in rural health medicine. She was a professor at Auburn University in medicine, and she decided to come to Putnam County because we have family who live near here, and we love this area. And so we are now residing in that house, and since we've been there, there've been potholes that have had to negotiate through. And, you know, and garbage is important for us because, you know, I don't know where we would haul the garbage to if we didn't have services. So I'm going to be real brief. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak here, and I'm willing to give whatever land area is needed for access. I think it's important that we have access, and I think one of the reasons why we moved here was because of the beauty of Putnam County and the resources, the fishing, things like that. And my daughter will be graduating from pharmacy school next year, and we hope to open a small pharmacy here. And if we're not able to live here, it would be unfortunate for us as well as I think the county. I think we can provide some resources that would be beneficial to the county. So I just want to thank you all for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, anybody else want to speak in favor of this?
Mr. Milstead's in the back.
Yes, come up, Mr. Milstead. You want to speak in opposition to that? That's okay. Do you want to speak in opposition to that now?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead, Mr. Milstead.
Well, first of all, I'm here celebrating two things today. I'm celebrating my 47th anniversary. I married my childhood sweetheart, and this is a very important day for us.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. The other thing I'm celebrating is that we're in America, I'm an American, we're free. I can get up here and I can speak, I can voice my opinion, and no matter what I say, as long as it's civil and not illegal, I can go home and I don't have to worry about disappearing in the middle of the night.
Right.
That's very important. There's a lot of issues here. There's an awful lot of paperwork. There's a lot of emails. There's a lot of conflicts. That's not really appropriate for this committee to go over. That's something that the investigators and the lawyers can go over if they want to, if they need to get into that kind of detail. But the situation is really very simple. This is a situation, the issue is private property rights. That is the whole issue. I think that Mr. Tompkins has got a perfect understanding of exactly what the situation is legally about whether we own the property, what right the county has to come in there, what right the county doesn't have. I want to ask you gentlemen two questions. One question is, from my last presentation, did you go over the photographs that show the condition that the road's in now and the other stuff? And the other question is, did you read the police report written by Major Gary Bowling? And I'd like a response. Did you do that?
Well, all right, I'll tell you, I didn't read the police report, but I did look over the maps and I did go out to your area and look at the road. But the police report's not, we're talking about a road
Well, you know,
and
there's
big.
been an awful lot of
Yeah, that's-
discussion
that's-
about why there are obstacles in the road, what the problems are
Well,
on the road. Let's
Mr.
get
Milstead,
beyond
let
that
me
now.
ask you this.
Let's
Right
just-
now, the county owns 30 feet of easement. Is
That's
there
what I wanna talk
obstacles
about.
inside that 30 feet?
Okay, that's what I want
Is
to
there
talk.
obstacles inside the 30 feet?
At this point in time, no, because there's
Who
no
put 'em
need for
there?
them, because there are no problems occurring on the road at this point in time.
But my question is, we own 30 feet of right-of-way.
I'm sorry?
We own 30 feet of right-of-way.
No, you don't own 30 feet of right-of-way. You've got a prescriptive easement that says you own the actual road going through there as far as maintaining the road.
My paper says we have a 30-foot easement on that.
There's a difference between a granted easement, a deeded easement, and a prescriptive easement. Nonetheless, the bottom line is, there are utilities. Well, first of all, the only thing that I dispute from the PowerPoint presentation is the road has never been, and at this time, any narrower than 11 feet. It said 8 to 10 feet. No, 11 feet is the narrowest the road has ever been. That's what my deed showed when I bought the property. That's what my survey showed, and that's what I've maintained it as. And that's the amount that I kept the obstacles off the road. The second thing is, there was a discussion about utilities. On the west side of the road, 4 feet off of the road, there's buried electrical, sewer, and potable water. On the east side of the road, 2 feet off of the road, there's cable TV. I'm very familiar with all this because I built this house and I have personally been there while all this stuff has been maintained and installed. So I know exactly where the utilities are. I've had to locate service come out because I've had to do digging and actually flag these utilities a number of times. On the 30-foot easement along both sides of the road, I've got a fence. The reason I've got a fence is to protect myself and my family from the physical threats and basically problems we've had from the neighbors. Right next to that fence, almost touching the fence, I've got 28 palm trees that are over 30 feet tall. They're planted along the road, kind of like when you go down Hollywood Boulevard. There's no way you're going to be able to widen that road another 10 feet without taking out all those trees, that fence, and covering up those utilities. So the bottom line is, based on the fact that this is a private property issue, the county's never had the right to come in there and tell me what I can plant on the other side of the easement behind my fence at the bequest of Mohammed Akiak or Bob Trump. They never had the right to come in there and put in a cul-de-sac at the end of the road based on the fact it's a prescriptive easement. And they just own the right to maintain the road as it has been maintained historically. This is what was out there before I bought the property. A grass field is what I bought. That's the road the way it was maintained ever since 1993.
Mr. Milstead, I need to say this to you. If you're presenting documents to us,
Yes, sir.
they'll be given to the clerk of the court.
Would it be possible for me to flash them and then just hand them all to her afterwards?
You will, but you will not get them back. They become
No, that's
property.
fine. That's
Okay.
In 2006, this is what was maintained. There was not a cul-de-sac. It was about an 11-foot wide dirt road. In 2008, Public Works made me move a line of hedges and a fence because the neighbors insisted there had to be a turnaround at the end of the road. Didn't have to be a turnaround until after they sued me. They had my house destroyed and I lost the lawsuit. In 2009, you can see where I've moved my hedge, but you can see there isn't a cul-de-sac there yet, just an open grassy area.
Okay, I need to ask you a question. They sued you in court, and you moved those items, or we moved those items?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
Sued you in court, and what was the verdict in that case?
Well, the verdict was that it was a frivolous lawsuit, and Bob Trump wound up losing his house because he had to pay me the $50,000 judgment bond that was awarded because of the fact that it was a frivolous lawsuit and that he shouldn't have sued me in the first place. If you had read the document, all that is very well summarized by Major Gary Bowling. And in addition to that, this is the video evidence of why Gary Bowling had to do an investigation, as well as all of the misdeeds of the person that was the reason I had to put obstacles in the road to protect ourselves physically. This is the video evidence of Mrs. Akiak almost running my wife over with her car, and that's the reason I had to put curbs along the road, because I didn't want my wife being run over. So the bottom line is, vacate the road, I'll maintain my portion of the road, stay out of my hair, I won't have the county hounding me for another 10 years, and I'll live happily ever after. Thank you.
Thank you. If you'll deliver all those documents over to the clerk of the court, please, we would appreciate that. Colonel Wells, you'd like to say something concerning that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Colonel Wells, Chief Deputy, Putnam County Sheriff's Office. I just want to save you the time, unless you so choose to. The Sheriff's Office did complete a documentation report on this case. This has been an ongoing civil dispute requiring an exorbitant amount of responses from deputy sheriffs to this area. Everything from whose lawn man is parking where, who's piling the leaves in different property, who's put concrete in the middle of the road to stop this, that, and the other, whose cameras are aimed at who's shining lights in whose houses, whose religious emblems are facing which direction. And we did neighborhood resolution projects, tried to bring everybody to the table and work this out. So the report he's referring to is not criminal in nature, it's information in nature, and the Sheriff's Office rendered no opinion on who was right or who was wrong. We referred them to civil attorneys over right-of-way disputes. Just want to catch up on that.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Any questions for Mr. Wells?
Not at all.
Mr. Tompkins, can I ask you a question? Again, I want to go back to what I was just talking about. The road width currently is 8 to 10 feet, but we have a 30-foot easement, and that includes all the utilities and all. We just heard from Mr. Milstead basically that he's not willing to give up any more land at this point. Can we widen the road and take care of the utilities inside that 30-foot easement, or we cannot do that?
I would not recommend it. I mean, at the 30 feet with where the utilities are located, I mean, 8 to 10 feet is not ample. I mean, we've talked about this in our other committee meetings. Some of the other roads we have in the county, Finney, Cricket, some of these other roads, we're trying to maintain an absolute 14-foot minimum for a roadway. 8 to 10 feet is one car. I just don't recommend it. And I know the situation's only 6 homeowners in there, but the thing is about the roadway, we only have an ownership interest in it due to maintenance of a certain period of time. That easement was never dedicated to the county.
I got you.
It was only dedicated to all the homeowners out there.
But there is some, if we're gonna sit here in a quasi-judicial manner, there is some understanding by a prior resolution by this board that took that full road into account, that they took the road into the maintenance system. Now, whether we've done a lot of work or no work, they did take it in.
Yes, sir, they
And
did.
that road is in. So what helps protect the residents that want to keep this road into Putnam County and our maintenance? What protects them if we vacate this road?
Well, like we explained earlier, if I'm gonna say a 2-step process. We need to vacate the road. Then if the residents want to get together and come to us with a petition saying we're all willing to donate right away to get whatever width we need, 35 or 40 feet to make this work, we're willing to dedicate right away, then we can work out those details and bring a new petition back to the commission here and saying, we would then recommend this roadway, a actual right-of-way that we own, to bring it back into the maintenance system, and it would be to the width that we could realistically maintain with the equipment we have.
Can that be done backwards? And my point is this: do we have to vacate the road in order to bring all the parties to the table, or can we bring all the parties to the table to get the proper width before we vacate the road?
We could do it either way, it's your pleasure, but I will say this has been an ongoing civil dispute for many, many, many years. I don't see us delaying it is going to really accomplish anything. And that's just my opinion of it. We've been going through this thing for years, long before my time. I've reviewed the records on it. We delay it for another year, and I think we'll be right back here in the same place.
Well, it appears to be there's no resolution here, and we've got some citizens that will be affected by it if we vacate that road today. And what's their effect? I don't know what their effect will be. And I'm hesitant to go down that path. I know Dr. Akiat would like to speak now, but commissioners, any questions for Mr. Tompkins while he's here?
Yeah, you asked to do this backwards, and that's exactly what we've done all these years, and where has it gotten us?
I know.
And remember that overall goal that Mr. Tompkins is trying to provide to us, efficiencies. We must stay on task. That's all I've got to say. I'm done.
Chairman, can I add something?
Yes.
The problem that rolls in here is this is a 30-foot ingress and egress easement that is on every deed of the 6 property owners. That is what's surveyed out onto this. However, the resolution that was done did not specify the width that the county was going to take into the maintenance system. That's where you get into prescriptive rights. Right. We are only allowed to maintain what we can touch. So when the residents put items in the road and we can't go past that, we have a difficult time doing that. Right. And I do have the video here that I can show you if you want. But what we're trying to ask is vacate the road, let's go back through the process, let's get the width that we need, because right now the current resolution is kind of vague. Is it 30-foot easement or is it a 5-foot easement? And if you have one resident that's blocking us from doing what we're doing, because there's no number on this current resolution that tells us what we are allowed to maintain out of our office.
I understand. All right, let me let Mr. Akiat speak one more time, and we're going to bring, go ahead, Commissioner Goddard.
Before you step down, I just have a question. Now, right now, when we're maintaining it, we are not grading this road, correct? Because you can't.
That's correct.
That's
So
what we
maintenance is only repairing of these potholes.
can't- Yeah, that, like I said, we've got very sporadic pothole maintenance out there because we can't get a grader in there.
Commissioner, we were at one time. I mean, it is a class, when I was area supervisor, we were maintaining it, grading it on a regular basis. And it just got too difficult to get in there and grade it, so we had to stop.
Well, I'm just curious, do we have to grade it? Or can we just continue with just repairing the potholes? And not, you know, we'd still have the prescriptive easement, but we wouldn't have to,
It's more costly for us to just go in there and repair a pothole without grading the road and getting it to the right grade to get the water off of it. All we're doing is perpetuating the same problem. We go to the same pothole and fill it in. 6 months later, we're back filling in the same pothole because we haven't been able to remedy any of the drainage problems or take care of the roadway as it should be taken care of.
okay, yeah, that's what I was wanting to find out. Is it cost effective? Is it
It is
costing us
not
more
cost-
money?
As James showed you, we've spent $16,000 for 6 residents. That's way more than I spend if I took the average of the county as a whole. You know, $16,000, 6 residents is a lot more than I would spend normally on a resident in the county. I mean, when you start looking at it, getting down to the micro level, it's hard to justify it.
Thank you.
And additionally, what we're asking is we are only vacating ownership and maintenance. The services, the citizens will still have their services. They'll still get their utilities. We're not messing with that. We're just vacating ownership and maintenance.
And this vacation has absolutely no bearing on the easement that was granted to them in their deeds that was for egress, ingress, and utilities. That would not be affected by this vacation at all. And Mr. Manning did confirm that with me before the last meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, I understand. It just takes our responsibility of having to maintain the road.
That is correct.
Commissioner Pickens?
Press, before you leave, as I understand, if we vacate this, and they could go through a process to come back with the correct amount of right-of-way to where we could take this back into the maintenance system.
Yes, sir, they have that option.
Okay, when would they know what that width would be?
Well, what I would like to do is have a petition or have some acknowledgement that the homeowners definitely want to go through with this, because like I said, it's an all or none. If I've got 2 property owners say, you know, we don't care about it, we're not going to do it, then, and I don't want to be cavalier about this, but I don't want to waste a whole lot of time and energy coming up with the design and everything for the roadway to have it done if it's never going to get through. And that's, I say, if the residents can come together and say all 6 of them want to dedicate enough right-of-way to the county to make it a maintained road, then we will certainly do whatever's necessary to fulfill that petition and get it in front of the board here.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Mr. Lott.
And to go on what you just said, you've got in your memorandum here a period of 1 year, so we don't waste the county resources on what you just said.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Akiat, and then we'll,
I just want to follow up. There's been disputes in the neighborhood, but I don't think those disputes are relevant to what we're talking about today. The $16,000, I guess that's the expense of how many years? For the last how many years now?
That is everything we have on record. I pulled the entire history on that road.
For how many years would that be?
it's ever since it's been the county, so.
I've got from 1993 to today.
So $16,000 over 25 plus years. I am fairly confident that most of the residents, at least three residents that I know in that neighborhood, have no clue about what's going on or what has happened. I think the major expense that was spent on that road is paving a portion of that road, I guess 2/3 of that road. That's where the major $16,000 expense came from.
Negative, sir. The residents paved that road. The county did not pave that road.
I understand that the county came up with half and the residents paid half. I may be wrong.
According to the maintenance records that I have on the road,
Right.
it did not have anything to do with paving other than pothole patching for pavement.
That was my understanding, so I may be wrong, but something that you may want to check back on. But I still believe that if the residents, the bureaucracy that's involved in getting the residents back together and going through the whole paperwork and the process and the time, but by that time, what am I going to be doing at the end of Cow Creek Road if I cannot drive my way out of there? Who's going to maintain this right of way? If I decide to maintain it and bring my tractor and start grading that road, what kind of rights do I have to do that? And if my family is in trouble and help cannot get to me, what's the cost of that? If I cannot get out as a first responder, there are two physicians there, they're both of them first responder. We're required to make it within 15 minutes to 30 minutes where we need to be in case there is a need for first response. How am I going to get out of there? I would very much appreciate, I think it does make common sense, at least to me, that we take one step back, reconsider, give us some time where we could have at least a documented or at least an understanding, an exact understanding of what is it needed. Do we really need 40 feet easement in that neighborhood, for those 6 residents? Is there enough room for 40 feet easements? These are questions that I would like to be answered. And I think if the residents are given the plan or the options, and they were told exactly what needs to be done to achieve what the county is trying to achieve, I believe at least they deserve at least to be given that information so they can make an educated decision.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay. I'm going to let Mr. Milstead a few more minutes, but then that's it. I'm going to close it down. So just one quick rebuttal, and then we're just a few minutes, please. You're welcome.
First, I want to apologize for getting so excited. I'm not used to having so much pressure and speaking in public like this. But I just want to close by saying, the county hasn't spent much money on the road recently. Over the past few years, you haven't been out there doing a whole lot. I would be tickled to death if we could cut a deal to where you come out one last time, fill those potholes, and from that point on, you can vacate the road, and I will maintain in good faith the road that crosses my property. There'll be no problem with rescue units getting through there. I will not put myself in a position where someone can have an accident and sue me because I have been negligent in maintaining my portion of the road. Dr. Akiak has ventured a lot of his concerns of why it's important for us to have utilities and services down there. I agree. But the one thing Dr. Akiak hasn't informed y'all is he doesn't live there anymore. Since before Hurricane Matthew, Dr. Akiak purchased an $850,000 house in Comanche Cove in St. Augustine, and that's where he lives. His house is vacant and has been vacant ever since before Hurricane Matthew. He does come in once a week and sometimes spends the night because he attends his practice that he still has here in Putnam County 1 day a week. So that's the situation. You really need to look at those tapes because I think you've done me a disservice by not examining the evidence that I presented last time, and that will give you a great insight. The representative from the Sheriff's Department said no conclusion has been reached as far as whether anyone is guilty or not guilty, but just look at the video. Dr. Alkiot promised my wife and I that he could be a horse when we asked him not to block our driveway anymore. Look at that tape, and you'll see which kind of a horse he can be. Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of the comments then. Commissioners, that is going to be the end of our public comments on this. We're going to go to Commissioner deliberations now. What's the pleasure of the board? We have a recommendation to vacate Cow Creek Court for maintenance and ownership.
Well, as I stated before, Mr. Chairman, this has been ongoing. It's extremely civil in nature as far as decisions, and I think the best position this body could be in is to vacate and the neighborhood come to the conclusion, because doing it the same way we have is a description of insanity, and we've done it for a decade or more that way. So I move for staff recommendations with that being said.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Lible to vacate Cow Creek Court for maintenance and ownership. Do we have a second?
I'm a second, and I want to open it up with a discussion if we
Okay.
can.
Do we have any more discussion?
No, I'm done.
And I do. If I could have press, he was mentioning repairing some potholes on there. Is that feasible?
You mean for us to right now and fix? Yes, sir, we can fix those.
Okay, and just so that, the doctor understands, I understand where you're coming from. My driveway, for an example, is 1,000 feet long, and I do want my family to get out. Therefore, I repair my driveway. Press knows where I actually live. There's a dirt road that I come out to, which they maintain periodically. But I do know that my road, what I own, I have to maintain. I bring in the shell, I grade it, I'm the one who maintains it. So, and I think I'm not alone. I believe a lot of people in Putnam County live on these dirt roads, and we do have to take care of our own driveways. I would say if you'll repair those, I'm fine with vacating these
If you want
areas.
to make that, we certainly can go fix the potholes and make that one of the conditions that we do the vacation, and we'll go fix them. If I can get them out there this week or as soon as I can, we'll take care of it.
That would be up to Commissioner Lible to make that change on his motion.
I'll amend my motion to reflect the additional request.
Okay, so we have a proper motion to vacate with the work that would be done to fix the current potholes and probably bring the road up to some standard level of standard right now. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay. Commissioner Goddard, do you second it?
I do second it.
All right. We have a proper motion. We have a second. Any further discussion on this matter? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on to item 6A, small scale future land use amendment from A1 to CR. Michael Adams.
Good morning, Mr. Harvey, and please the board. We have two concurrent cases before you. So it's a small map change and a rezoning for the same parcel. Again, my name is Sarah Brennan, Planner 2 with Planning and Zoning. The applicant is Michael Adams. The request is for a small-scale land use change from Ag 1 to commercial on two separate parcels totaling 8.95 acres. The location of the parcels is 355 and 361 State Road 207 in East Palatka. Here's an aerial showing the two parcels highlighted in blue. This is the existing future land use. As you can see, it's mostly ag, but there is some commercial. This is the proposed future land use. These are the current zoning districts. As you can see, there's commercial zoning largely along the corridor, and the two parcels are currently zoned agriculture. Just a brief overview of the analysis. Basically gives us standards, what we have to follow for a future land use change. Not to get into too many details because it will be redundant, but it does meet the transportation needs, has available capacity to meet demand generated by the business, proposed business, potable water, and private wells will be on site. Requested land use change from Ag 1 to commercial, meets the locational requirements for commercial and policy A.1.9.3.5 of the comp plan. There'll be no adverse impacts to infrastructure resulting from development on the subject property. Planning Commission has recommended approval at its June 14th, 2017 meeting, unanimously, I might add, and staff recommends approval of the requested land use change from Ag 1 to commercial. Are there any questions for staff?
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? We do welcome you to the podium. This is your first time.
Yes, thank you, and thank you
So
for being
we
easy on
welcome
me
you.
so far.
We hope to see much more of this activity going on. So Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Bennett?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
I have none.
I have none.
All right, anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Anybody wishing to oppose this? All right, Commissioners, I'm going to end deliberations. What's your pleasure?
Move for staff recommendations.
Have proper motion by Commissioner Lible to accept staff recommendations.
I'll second it.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion by this board? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Okay, this is the quasi judicial, and this is where we will, on the next item, R17-003, if you will reveal any ex parte communication, starting to my left with Commissioner Pickens.
I just spoke with staff, with Brian Hammond.
Okay, I've had none.
I've had none.
And I've had none.
All right, good. Present your case, sir.
Sir, thank you. Again, concurrent, it's R17-003, same two parcels, same applicant, same addresses. Proposed use is to facilitate the development of mini storages and associated outside storage business. Again, here's an aerial. The current zoning is ag. The proposed zoning, if you take action today to approve it, converting it to commercial. Just brief overview analysis. We're changing from A1 to commercial. We've approved that for the future land use. The proposed zoning is from ag to C3. C3 would allow open and mini storage on this property. It meets all requirements for transportation and traffic, level of service. No floodplains, no wetlands. It's a commercial infill. Findings and recommendations. Staff finds that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the comp plan, consistent with locational requirements for C3 zoning, and compatible with surrounding uses. Again, Planning Commission recommended approval at its June 14th, 2017 meeting, and staff is recommending approval of the request to amend the zoning map from ag to C3. Any questions for staff?
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this application? All right, seeing none, anybody in the audience wishing to oppose this application? Seeing none, we'll close the end of our public comment on this topic. Commissioner deliberations. Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve this. Approve as recommended.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard to approve the recommended change from ag to C3 commercial.
I'll second it.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any other further discussion by this board? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it, and that's done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Wasn't as scary as you thought it would be, was it?
Wasn't too bad.
There you go. Item 7, appointments. Gentlemen, any appointments to any of our committees that are sitting here now?
I have none.
None.
I have none.
I have none.
Okay. Item 8, County Administrator. It'll be our Budget Director and Deputy County Administrator, Ms. Stacy Popel, to talk to us about the acceptance of the tentative budget and proposed millage rates. And you should have that addendum in your hand now.
Yes, county administration is required to present to you a balanced budget generally by the 15th of July. We usually do it at the first meeting in July, and here we are. The tentative total county budget of $109,070,059 is shown on attachment 1. All the fund budgets are balanced. While the numbers may change in the coming weeks, the budget will remain in balance. Many budget review committee meetings have been held to review components of the proposed tentative budget. Recommendations and related changes are reflected in the attachment 1 document. Due to ongoing economic conditions in Putnam County and the cumulative effects of previous state legislation, the county continues to be revenue challenged. While this year there has been a small uptick in property values, the revenue produced is insufficient to cover current needs at the previous tax rate. Reserves have dwindled and can no longer be relied upon to the extent they have been in the past to offset current expenses. The proposed fiscal year 2017-18 budget is balanced and reflects a proposed general property tax millage rate of 9.8892, which is a rate increase. The current tax rate is 9.0914 mils. The proposed fire MSTU millage rate is 1.1 mils, which is the same. The calculated rollback rates are general fund, 8.8568 mils, and fire tax MSBU, 1.0755 mils. At this same meeting, the board is setting the proposed millage rates, which will go into the trim notice to all taxpayers. Again, the fiscal year 2017-18 proposed general property tax millage is 9.8892 and 1.1 mils for the fire tax MSTU respectively. There are no actions required on this first part, other than you have now officially been presented the budget. On the second part, what staff's staff's recommended actions are, we'd like you by motion to accept the tentative budget, although you don't have to, and we'd like you to set the millage rate. Also, we need you to set the date, time, and place for the tentative budget hearing as Tuesday, September 12th, 2017 at 5:05 p.m. in this boardroom, and set the date and time and place for the final budget hearing and adoption of the final budget and millage rates as Tuesday, September 26th, 2017 at 5:05 p.m. So 2 motions, one to accept the budget and set the millage rate, and a second to set the date, time, place of the final hearings.
Actually, well, 3 of them. We're going to accept the tentative budget, then we'll set the proposed millage, and then we'll do the dates on the, so what was the dates again that you proposed, September 12th?
The 5:05 on the normal meeting days in September, both of them.
Okay.
12th and the 26th for your
12th and the
final.
26th at 5:05 p.m.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Ms.
Please.
Propel, I would like to add language that is a proposed millage rate.
Right.
We can't go over this rate we're speaking of today, but we can certainly come back under it.
Absolutely, you may. This is just the millage rate that will be advertised on the trim notice. The millage rate that you pass in September may indeed be lower. I know we spoke Friday of different things that we want to do together to look at in the budget to hopefully reduce that millage rate. Plus, I've yet to receive one revenue from the state that may increase revenues slightly and help to slightly reduce the millage rate. This was just, would be the cap, the highest millage rate that would be seen. This isn't the final millage rate.
Right. The main purpose is to get to our tax assessor a maximum amount so he can send out with the trim notices that's statutorily required by the state of Florida.
Yeah, we have to do this.
By August 4th, but yes, it is statutory requirement. Okay, and I agree. We spent a lot of time going through the budget, and We have really combed through it. There's more combing to be done. I did hear from another department who might have quite a bit of monies left in their budget that they can absorb. So I'm whittling that down. And in the future, I would like to talk about, well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
but I'd like to talk about.
What do you want first?
But right now, we need a motion to accept the tentative budget.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the tentative budget.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard to accept the tentative budget as presented.
I'll second it.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion by this board? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose like sign. Aye. Did you?
No,
Okay.
before we got there, are you asking for a tentative budget amount?
Yes, right now we are.
No, she, the budget officer.
By statute, you don't even have to formally accept this budget. The county administration must present it to you on or before the 15th, so long as the property appraiser has delivered the certificate of values on or before the 1st, and they did. And so we're making that. We'd like that you formally accept it, but
Okay,
you're
so
not required to
As a
formally
chairman, I just want
accept it.
clarification. You're asking for it, Chairman Harvey, and that's fine. I vote for it.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to, the second vote will be on a proposed millage rate that we cannot go any higher than, but we can go lower than in the next few
That is
months.
correct, and it will be 2 millage rates, the general millage rate and the MSTU millage rate. The general millage rate, 9.8892, and the MSTU fire tax millage rate, 1.1000.
For clarification, do we need to also adopt the rollback, or do we do that at a future
No,
date?
that's at future.
Okay, so right now, Commissioners, we need a motion on the proposed property tax millage rate.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposed millage rate of 9.8892 and the MSTU fire rate at 1.1.
All right, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion by this board concerning proposed millage rates? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, and the next item of the agenda is setting the dates of September 12th and the 26th, was that correct? Okay.
Yes, that's
At
correct.
5:05. These will be our last meetings. These will be our last chance to change any of the budgets prior to going out.
They will
to-
both be advertised public hearings.
Yep. So, Commissioners, we need a motion to approve the budget hearing set for September 12th and 26th at 5:05.
I will make that motion, but I would also like to add the location, which will be this boardroom at that
Yes.
time.
Okay. We have a proper motion to accept September 12th and 26th at 5:05, and location being here at the BOCC Board of County Commission Meeting Room. Do we
I'll
have a
second.
We have a second by Commissioner Goddard. Any further discussion by this board? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Thank you. The ayes have it.
Thank you,
Ca-
gentlemen.
Thank you, Ms. Papel, for all your hard work, and more to come, I'm sure of that, as we get closer to September 26th, and we look forward to that. County Attorney Stacy Manning is not with us today. Clerk of the Court, Mr. Tim Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have no items.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Commissioner comments to my right, Commissioner Lible,
I have no items today. Thank you.
Commissioner Goddard.
No, I have no items.
Commissioner Pickens. I do want to say on behalf of all the board, Ms. Pauline Palacier passed away, one of our lifetime residents here in Putnam County. And if you were able to go to the funeral, the viewing, but we did pay our respects. And we wish the family of Ms. Palacier Godspeed in that behalf. I have no other comments. So considering anything else, is there any other business to come before our board? We will recess this meeting till 5:05, where we have planning meeting at that time. Thank you.